Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, my name is Debbie and I'm in Tenerife right now, and I loved the look of this chair and this little corner, so I thought I'd film a video while I was out here. So do you know what I'm going to talk about today? I'm going to talk about season 5 of American Horror Story, Hotel. I've already got so many things to think about when it comes to this season. I think for a lot of people, they'll know it as the season that Lady Gaga joined the cast. I'm still not completely sure where Hotel comes in my ranking of my favourites. I'd say it's kind of in the middle, I think, because it was good, but it wasn't my favourite, and it definitely wasn't the worst. For me, at the moment, I still think the second season is at the bottom, actually. Just the aliens completely took me out of it for some bizarre reason. It made it more sci-fi than horror, and I've never been the biggest sci-fi fan, to be honest, so yeah. So Hotel is season 5 of American Horror Story, and it's got all your favourites in there. So you've got Kathy Bates, you've got Sarah Paulson, you've got Evan Peters, Lady Gaga, as I said, was a new one, Matt Bomer, Chloe Sevigny, who was in the last couple of seasons as well, Dennis O'Hare, Cheyenne Jackson, Angela Bassett, Wes Bentley, and then, who haven't I said? That's kind of like the core cast. And then you've got Mary Winningham in there, Finn Wittrock, there's Naomi Campbell in here, Lily Rabe, Gabor Sidibe. It's just a vast group of people again, and bringing people back from other seasons. I need to get it into my head that this is no longer an anthology series. It's not completely separate, because the fact is they are all tied together. So I'm sure by the time it all finishes, there'll be a new way and a new order to watch it in, so you can watch it chronologically, which will be interesting to watch if I do decide to do that once it's all over and go back and watch it in the order that it's supposed to be. I really enjoyed this season. Again, Kathy Bates has my heart. I love how complicated the characters get as you go through. Sarah Paulson is just brilliant. The way she just turns up as just so many different people is just... and how convincing she is. Lady Gaga. Ooh, Lady Gaga. When I heard about this season, especially because there was a lot of information about some rather graphic sex scenes, and when I talk about graphic, I'm not trying to talk about the sex, I'm talking about the bloodiness and the goriness, I was kind of a bit like, do I really want to watch this season? I'm not sure if that sounds like something I really want to watch, but I must admit, considering the enormous hype around that, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. It's weird to say that, considering that it's still disgusting, but I think there'd been so much hype and controversy around it that when I came to it, it was just like, oh, that's it. Like, I feel like I've seen gorier stuff and seen more graphic sex scenes before, so yeah. I mean, I'm 32, I've watched a wide range of movies in my time, and you know, yeah, there's gross movies out there, there's ones that just have a lot of boobs and sex, and you know, I say if you can handle Game of Thrones, you can handle American Horror Story, because Game of Thrones, I don't think of it as a horror series, but there's a lot of gore in Game of Thrones. So, in a way, I think Game of Thrones kind of prepared me for American Horror Story in a way, because I went into American Horror Story thinking, is this really going to make me throw up? But because I'd kind of had that exposure to a lot of graphic death scenes and sex scenes in Game of Thrones, when I got into American Horror Story, it was just like, oh, this isn't quite as bad as I thought it was going to be. You know, I seem to handle the gore better than I thought I would, things like that. In this season, it centres around the mysterious, as according to Wikipedia, Hotel Cortez in Los Angeles, California. And the very, very first seed of the whole thing, it was like, I could see it coming very easily. Like, as it kind of built up, it was just like, I know where this is going. Why on earth would you do that? Why on earth would you do that? It's like classic whenever you watch a horror movie and you're just like, these characters are doing all the wrong things. Because you see these two girls check into the hotel. Kathy Bates, as the receptionist, takes them up to their room. And then when the girls are in the room, they are aware of a strange smell coming from somewhere in the room, but they don't know where. They kind of trace the scent to the bed. It feels weird that I'm talking about this while sat in a hotel with my bed like right over there. There's no unusual scent in here. But it's quite fitting to be talking about a hotel while I'm in a hotel. So obviously I thought this through. I lied, didn't think this through at all. I just thought this would be a good place to film. So the two girls trace the weird smell to the bed, and so they uncover the bed, and the smell gets stronger. Now, if that was me, I would not have gone any further than that. I either would have called out and said, there's a weird smell on the bed, is there anything, can I be moved rooms or something? Or I would have just hightailed it out of there. These girls decide to obviously uncover the bed, grab a penknife and jab it into the bed where the scent gets even stronger, and then there's a huge close-up on the bed, and I was just like, it is going to be like Adam's Family hand out of the grave type situation. So when that jump scare happened and that arm came out of the bed, I was just there going, yeah, you girls had it coming. You did the stupidest thing, you traced the smell, you took it to the bed, you cut open the bed, and yeah. I like to think that a hotel feels like it has quite strong connections to kind of the haunted house element of the first season with Horror House. Is it Horror House? I always get the name of that season wrong. Because it's essentially a haunted hotel. Like, you die there and you never leave. Well, they can leave, but generally they're just stuck there. It's like a cross between like ghosts, zombies and vampires. That's probably the best way to describe it. I don't even know what they... Yeah, because it's just like it says that Lady Gaga as the Countess is a blood-sucking fashionista. But yeah, it's just they kill everybody and then just feed on their blood, basically. It says thematically Hotel is much darker than previous seasons. I'm not sure if it really is. I guess technically, actually, because Roanoke came after this one, Roanoke felt a lot darker in comparison. Yeah, it was 12 episodes. Apparently it was supposed to be 13 episodes, which I think, with a horror series, doing it as 13 episodes just seems like the classic thing to do, with it being 13. And it was the first time the American Horror Story was not nominated for an Outstanding Limited Series, but Gaga did win the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress Miniseries or Television Film. Sorry, my eye has just started leaking. I think I just got a permanently leaky eye sometimes. And Hotel received a nomination for Best Miniseries or Television Film. Yeah, I'd say the best way to describe the whole season is haunted house style, well, haunted hotel, murderous rampages with zombie vampires sucking blood. Can you see me crying? It's just my eye leaking. A lot of sex. Oh god, my eye. But yeah, there's a lot of blood because they're basically killing people and feeding upon them. And I kind of like that there is a bit of a message throughout it, because they're just like, this... I think it's a line from Kathy Bates, actually, where she says, you need to stop killing everybody because we're still a hotel, we're a business, so when you're killing everybody, it means that we're losing business, and we're in a day of and we're in a day and age of internet, so it's getting out quick that, this is a haunted place and that nobody wants to stay here, but at the same time, we do need to kind of be able to survive. Yeah, I've just finished reading Discovery of Witches, and I feel like I can apply some of the themes of Discovery of Witches to this season, just because of the whole blood-sucking vampire type thing, need to survive, fight the survival thing. I think everybody in this season was brilliant. I completely understand why Lady Gaga won awards for her role in this season, because before this I'd never seen Lady Gaga act before. I'll admit I still haven't seen Star is Born. Sorry, bad musical theatre fan here. But then thinking about just everything that happens, a lot happens, and yet not. There is the episode 4, the Devil's Night one, where they have all the serial killers checking in, and a bit of a murder spree type thing going on. I've said before, I really like how American Horror Story brings true life stories and kind of puts them at the forefront to kind of make it more real. You've got Eileen Wuornos, John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, Omar Zodiac Killer. So they, in that episode 4, where they brought them all in, it really just kind of make a comment on how infamous these murderers have become. And to be honest, I'm not sure if I've said this before, as I've gotten older, I have realised that I'm not the biggest fan of films, you know, like people acting as famous serial killers, because I feel like that's what they wanted. I don't mind the documentaries where you're actually analysing it, because I'll admit I do have that morbid fascination where I find it really interesting to read about true crime. You know, I'll admit I've got one of my favourite books on my bookshelf is a book about Jack the Ripper, which is incredibly interesting. And the fact that there's so many different theories around Jack the Ripper, and some people say it's solved, other people say not really, because they still can't definitively prove who it was. And I think the main thing for that is the fact that we still don't know who it actually was. Whereas in this case, we know who these people are, and we're making them more infamous by continuing to tell their stories, when really we should be focusing on the stories of the people whose lives were lost through that. There was a play that came to the theatre that I work at. Part of its advertising, this was a play which was not about the Yorkshire Ripper. It was about people who were affected and lived in the time, so it wasn't about the Yorkshire Ripper, it was about people who lived through that time, and it was an incredible play. I got to see it quite a few times when I worked it. I just liked the storytelling aspect of that, where they weren't focusing on the Yorkshire Ripper, they were focusing on people who lived through it and how their lives were affected by it, whether it was simply just a kid walking across a field to get to her friend's house, and the police officer stood there going, no, you can't come this way because there's been an accident, there's been an incident, and she's just like, no, but I just need to go that way. If I go the other way, it's going to take even longer. They're just like, well, I can't let you get through this way because something's happened. And obviously in the context of the play, it was that the Yorkshire Ripper had struck again, but they were very good at not explicitly stating that. When you've got something like this, where you're bringing in very prolific serial killers and you're continuing to tell their stories, so they're becoming more infamous and more infamous, it just gets to a point when you're just like, I'm not sure if this is right. Seeing all kind of the backstory to the Countess and how she kind of came to be the person that she became, I still didn't really have that much sympathy for her. I'm sure a lot of people might have done, considering like the abortion and the baby and everything, but there just comes a point when you just like, no matter how much you keep trying to get me to sympathise with someone, it's just not always gonna work. There's lots of flashbacks and flash forwards and having those connections to other seasons, because there is a connection to Murder House in this season. So I've just got some information on my phone just to kind of remind me, because it's been a while since I watched it, because I've just finished watching Cult. So next season is Apocalypse, which I haven't started yet, but that is the next one I'm going to watch. Again, I love how it all ends with everybody kind of getting their comeuppance, and then the ones who are relatively good having their moments, you know, because they've got the murderers' ghosts, all the ghosts that were kind of killing everybody off, and then you've got the blood-sucking stuff with the children. The whole thing with the children really did kind of gross me out a bit, because there was that whole thing where they were trying to get them to feel just like, I think because I come from a bit of an acting background, I've been on sets quite a lot, and I'm just working that, as I watched it, I was thinking, how the hell did they get parents to agree to their children being in this, and how was it filmed? That's all I could think of whenever there were any scenes with the kids on. I will say, Dennis O'Hare as Liz Taylor is probably the most redeemable character in the whole thing. Oh, sorry. As I said that, I just had another memory of another scene with the kids and stuff. The bit where at the school with the teacher. Oh, again, how do they film it? How do they? I'm just completely fascinated as by how they film some of that stuff. Because when the kids go on their murderous rampage, it's so disturbing. I think it just gets more disturbing when you get children involved, because when you think of children, you think of them being so innocent. So, yeah, because I've just finished reading Discovery of Witches, I've just literally just finished the 3rd book today, and now I'm looking back at this season of American Horror Story. You can almost see comparisons with the Blood Rage from the Deborah Harkness books, with the way the characters react and how they survive on blood in this season of American Horror Story. It's a really interesting comparison to have, actually, because obviously I didn't have that information when I first watched it, so the fact that I can now make that comparison to Discovery of Witches is a bit of a strange connection, really. But it is interesting. I will say that Cheyenne Jackson, whenever Cheyenne Jackson's anything, I'm just there going, oh, yummy. I know that you can't deny he is a bit yummy. Chloe Sevigny, I always struggle with her surname, sorry. Her character, to be fair, I think her character was like that on purpose, but she wasn't the easiest character to kind of get along with. A lot of the time she seemed a bit like her character wasn't really supposed to be a parent, and yeah, I wasn't the biggest fan of that character throughout the season, and I don't think anybody would have been the biggest fan of the Countess, to be honest, because she seemed to be quite the basis for a lot of the horrors happening in the hotel. She's more one of those characters that you love to hate. Weirdly, my brain blocked out the fact that Naomi Campbell was in this. I don't know why. I would say that Lily Rabe as Aileen Wuornos was absolutely incredible. When she walked on as that woman, I was just there going, Lily Rabe is just one of those comedian actors where she just completely embodies the people that she's playing, and you almost don't recognise her as herself, and I say that's a true sign of an amazing actor, where you can watch them and completely believe them. Like, you're not just going, oh, that's so-and-so. You're saying, no, that person has completely embodied the character. It's like when I watch Tom Hanks films, I'm not there going, oh, that's Tom Hanks. And they're completely engrossed in their portrayal of whoever they are playing. It's the same with somebody like Meryl Streep. You know, she's not just Meryl when I see you in a movie. I can basically refer to her as the character that she's playing. Finn Wittrock, he kind of truly terrifies me in a bit. He's a very handsome man, but he's so good at playing crazy. He's almost too good. This was just such a versatile season, and to be honest, I wouldn't say it was I wouldn't put it like in the top 3 favourite seasons, I don't think, but I'd say it might be in the top 5, because how many seasons in am I now? After that is Roanoke is season 6, Cult was season 7, Cult. When I get to Cult, my god, that's going to be a long video. To be fair, I've already been chatting on for about 25 minutes, so I should probably wrap this up. Yeah, I'd say no weak links among the cast at all. There was nothing that really kind of put me off. So I feel like I've said nothing, and yet everything, and yet nothing again. So that's American Horror Story Hotel. Yeah, I feel like my brain's going to explode again. Good season, very dark, very gross in the body sense. I will say, as I said before, if you can handle Game of Thrones, you can handle Hotel. If you handle vampire stuff, you can handle this, because that's essentially what they are. They're bloodthirsty ghosts. That's essentially what the story of Hotel is. And then you've got characters saying, you know, we're trying to operate as a business. It's where the comedy comes in. I love the balance with the comedy in there as well. But yeah, so that's season 5. So my brain stops working. Yeah. American Horror Story Season 5, Hotel. I've got another book which I'm going to start again because it was a book called Sing You Home by, I've forgotten who it's by. So the next book I'm going to be reading is Jodie Picoult's Sing You Home. I did start reading this. I read the first chapter, and then my mum and dad went away on a boat, and my mum wanted something to read, and so she picked this up, and I was just like, oh, did you start reading this? I was like, I barely got through the first chapter, so just you read it, and then I'll just read it when you're finished. So she read this, and she said it was a beautiful book. She said it was very heartwarming and heartbreaking at the same time. But she said it was a really, really good book. So this is the next book I'm going to be reading. So if I do a lot of pool time, I'm hoping I'll get through this quite quickly. How many pages is it? Yeah, 464 pages is this one. So the other one, Discovery of Witches, was like 600 and something, I think. So it should take me a little less time to read this one as compared to Discovery of Witches. But yeah, I've been going on for about half an hour or so. So I better wrap this up so that I can actually be able to edit this. But there was a video that I did where I waffled on for about 45 minutes. I managed to get that down to about a half-hour video. So I really do waffle on a lot. So thank you so much for watching. The next season of American Horror Story I'll be doing is Roanoke. Do I have a lot to say about Roanoke? Yes, I do. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already. See you later.